What's up, everyone? Back for another beer review, and today I'll be reviewing yet another beer from the Jackie O's Pub and Brewery, and they're out of Athens, Ohio, and this is their Bourbon Barrel Black Maple, and this is the 2023 release. So this is an Imperial Porter brewed with maple syrup and aged in bourbon barrels. It comes in at 12.6% alcohol by volume. No IBUs listed. Time of review. This bottle is approximately 8.5 months old, and I picked this bottle up at Red Wine and Brew in Mentor, Ohio on a day trip to Ohio back in late 2023. So in the description box, I'll post a link to the beer haul video I did that contains all the goodies I picked up on said trip. And I picked up 4 different barrel-aged goodies from Jackie O's. I've already reviewed 2 of them. This is the 3rd, and I'm really excited because if I had a beer bucket list, I like to call it the mythical or hypothetical beer bucket list, this would be on it because I first heard about this beer like 7 or 8 years ago. I always wanted to get my hands on it, and now I finally have. Now they have a big spiel on the side of the label that I will hopefully remember to read at the end of the review, but if I don't, I'll post it in the description box and you can check it out. I have not read it, so I'm curious to see what they say about this one. But yeah, so basically, this is an Imperial Porter brewed with maple syrup, aged in bourbon barrels, and here we are. So I'm going to see what the difference is because a lot of the beers that I review from them or have had from them are Imperial Stouts, not Imperial Porters. And nowadays, you can ask 10 different people what the difference between a Porter and Stout is nowadays, and a lot of them will you pretty much get 10 different answers. For me, I always associate Porters with a little bit of a thinner body and not as roasty as Stouts. But, you know, is that correct? Probably not. That's just what I think. Anyway, we'll throw this over here like that, and we'll swirl this up, see if we can generate a head. Didn't seem to have a ton of carbonation. Decent amount of carbonation, yeah. There's going to be no head generated on this one. I can fucking swirl this forever. It doesn't matter. Yeah, you get like, at the most, like a third of a head there. Anyway, sheets of alcohol around the sides of the glass. This is more of a dark brown as opposed to a pitch black. Hold it up to the light. It looks like a root beer or a cola. You know, there's like a lighter brown here at the bottom, and the beer itself has this like, almost, I'd say more Dr. Pepper because it has almost like this reddish tinge to it. So it's like a dark brown with like a ruby red and like just a kind of a reddish tinge in general. The head, which was about a third of a finger, which is now a thin film, is straight up light brown. Again, good alcohol legs, but yeah, it's a disappointing you can't, generate a head here, but it's a big ass beer aged in barrel, so I don't expect it. Anyway, let's get a nose. Yeah. These Jackie O beers, in the nose, they smell like they're going to be sweet, right? You can't smell sweetness, but it smells like it's going to be sweet. There's a lot of rich, decadent aromatics here. I am actually getting a little bit of like a smoky maple syrup. So there's a touch of like a smoke or like a, maybe coming from the barrel, like a charred kind of essence. But it's like a smoky maple. Then there's a ton of like sweeter milk chocolate, I would say. Now, a lot of times I say dark chocolate. It's like sweet up milk chocolate, caramel and toffee, molasses, brown sugar. And I've noticed with Jackie O stuff, I get a lot of brown sugar in their barrel-aged beers, both in the aromatics and in the taste. Don't know what it is. Could be something specifically they're using as far as an ingredient goes, but a lot of brown sugar. Black cherry. Touch of like a fig, date, raisin, kind of like the maybe more a raisin, like a dried fruit, right? The barrel's here, but it's not like overly done. Like it has a nice like kind of bourbon sweetness. There's a little bit of vanilla, touch of that oak. But I'm actually getting, again, this is, I don't know how long they age in the barrel, probably for a year. I mean, Jackie O's barrel program's pretty renowned, so I feel like, it's I'm not going to say it's exactly a year or whatever, but probably a while. It's not one of these, we're going to throw it in the barrel for 2 months, Not one of those. And it's not like punching me in the face. I feel like I still get that maple. And a lot of times, and I've said this in a lot of beer reviews that have maple in them, like a lot of times it just becomes a generic sweetness, and that's not happening here. I'm actually smelling maple. 2 of my favorite adjuncts / additives in beers are toasted coconut and maple. So I've had a lot of beers with both of those in it, and I just feel like the maple gets lost more so than a lot of other adjuncts. And it's not getting lost here. Oh, I just went back again. That smokiness, it's not like over the top, but it's there. Yeah, it smells really good. Does it smell amazing? I will say this. It's not as good as the first two I reviewed, but it's still pretty fucking good. So let's get into it. Cheers, everyone. I definitely taste the maple. That's cool. I like that. I like that quite a bit. What I love, the saving grace of this beer, shout out to Kyle over at No Hype Beer Reviews. I love when he like reviews a beer and he'll say, the saving grace of this beer, aka what really makes this beer sing for him, what makes it balanced, what makes it, you know, what makes it a good beer for him. And a lot of times that's a different characteristic. For me, in this realm, in this review, it's the dryness. There is a nice dryness on the finish because, Tyler, the first 3/4 of the palate, it's pretty fucking sweet. Let's go body mouthfeel. Now, I thought this was going to be thinner because it's a porter, but it's really not. It might be a little bit thin for a 12.8% beer. This is lower side of full body. So did I say 12.8? It's 12.6. Lower side of full body. It's a bit thin for the ABV, but if you told me this is an Imperial Porter and it's aged in barrels, I'm A-okay with this one because it's Imperial Porter and then it's thinned out by the barrels. A lower side of full body is fine with me. It's not watery. It's the body's fine. The mouthfeel, it's really weird because there's a decent carbonation, like mild to moderately carbonated, but it's still almost, despite saying that, it almost feels like there's nothing else to it. Like a lot of times I'll say, oh, that's mild to moderately carbonated, that's moderately carbonated, but it has this smooth, creamy sensation or just a smoothness to it. The mouthfeel is a little bit distracting and a little bit lacking here. I think the mouthfeel is just that mild to moderate carbonation. There is no smoothness really on the palate. There is not a hint of a creaminess. So the mouthfeel, to me, I thought the body would be worse than the mouthfeel. It's the opposite. I think the mouthfeel is worse than the body. I think that's the biggest detriment to the beer right now as I'm drinking it is the mouthfeel. And it's not like taking away in a huge way, but you know, it's a negative. The taste up front, there is that kind of roasted malt quality that's a little bit less intense than if this was an Imperial Stout, again, in my opinion. But after that, I get this smoked, charry kind of feel. And again, I don't know if it's the barrel. I don't know if they use smoke malts. I don't know if it's just regular malts. It has a smokiness to it. And that's combining with all the confectionery kind of sweet caramelized sugars, like your brown sugars. Like this has a big brown sugar character. There's a caramel and toffee and molasses and just different sweeter kind of malt characters. And that smokiness is there, which is like, it's omnipresent, but it's like an underlying omnipresent, characteristic in this one that's kind of different. Halfway through the palate is where I get a little bit of that fruit. It's more of like a date, fig, raisin, black cherry. And the second half of the palate, the bourbon kicks in. It's a peppery bourbon, right? Peppery bourbon, sweeter, a little bit of vanilla, a little bit of oak tannin. The maple syrup is a blanket of straight on maple, but it's, again, much like that smoke character, it's omnipresent, but it's not too much. It's just noticeable. And again, this being 8.5 months old in the bottle, and then whatever they age it for, the fact that the maple syrup is still noticeable, kudos. Kudos to Jackie O's. That's a really cool thing to do because a lot of adjuncts fall off quickly, and maple for me has been one of them historically. Yeah, that dry, and it's not a dry oak tannin dryness. It's just like a full-on dryness on the back of the palate. It's like full-on dry. It's mildly bitter, but like a very slight touch of a mild bitterness. So that dryness really saves this beer in the best way possible because otherwise this would be cloying. There is so much malt goodness, sweetness from that. I think it's probably the maple syrup enhancing to me all the malt character as far as the sweetness goes because I said the maple is omnipresent. And you get all that stuff up front, all the malt character. If not for that dryness, it would be cloying after probably a third, maybe a half of that bottle. I'd be like, ooh. As we speak right now, no. 12.6%, yeah, I feel it. Not on the palate, but in the chest, into the stomach. I also feel just like a warming sensation as I continue to drink this. So definitely has a booziness to it that isn't astringent, which is nice, but it's definitely noticeable. There's this earthiness on the finish that's like an earthy maple kind of. This is like a barrel aged beer with like a smoked maple characteristic to it. It's the best way I could describe it. I'm drinking the rest of this tonight because fuck it. We'll just say that, fuck it, as I spill some on my table. But we're drinking the rest of this one tonight because I'm really digging this, and I kind of don't want to save the other half for tomorrow. So I'm just going to take it to the dome piece. I allocated the calories, and here we are. So we'll read the spiel here on the side after I give you a rating. Like I said, I don't think this is as good as the other two I had, but it's not far off. I really do dig this one. I think the mouthfeel is disappointing, which kind of sucks. I do wish the flavors, maybe there was something else to break up with the monotony of all that caramelized sugar. Because like I'm talking, I said smoked maple and then a lot of malt character. The bourbon isn't as present as I would hope, even though there's a nice presence of the bourbon itself and like the barrel. It's just, this is a very good to great beer, but it's not like amazing. So this does not get in the 4 or 5 range, but it gets close. So Jackie O's Bourbon Barrel Black Magic, the 2023 release. I'm going to go high 4.25 and go 4.35. I think this is close, but it's not in the 4 or 5 range. I think if the mouthfeel was better, this would be like a 4 or 4, maybe a 4 or 5. But, you know, it's still, I mean, a 4.35 is a great score. But of the beers I picked up, this is the my least favorite. And I still give it a great score because it's Jackie O's. They make fantastic beer, plain and simple. So, all right, so we'll read the back here. Let's do price point availability. I paid $11.99 at the aforementioned Red Wine and Brew in Mentor, Ohio, less than $1 an ounce. I'm cool with it. Availability, Jackie O's. They're all throughout Ohio, as far as I know. They get outside of the state. You'll see them randomly on like different web stores. I think they get on Tavor occasionally. I don't know if you can order straight from their website, but go to their website, see if they have a beer finder. I just know whenever I go through Ohio, I pick up their stuff if I can because I like their beer, and I'm glad I'm finally reviewing some of it. So it says on the back here, Black Maple was first brewed in 2013. I didn't know they brewed it back then. As a one-off batch designed to explore the capabilities of a brew house. Okay, makes sense. After its long rest in bourbon barrels, so again, like I said earlier, it's probably like a year plus. Black Maple quickly became a perennial favorite. Now brewed every year in late summer, okay? It says Black Maple features a diverse grist of barley, okay, wheat, chocolate, malt. I read them say chocolate, they all malt. You fucking idiot. They're grist. Anyway, barley, wheat, chocolate malt, caramel malt, and a pinch of smoke malt. I wonder if that's where that smokiness has come from, or if it's come from like barrel char or something. I don't know. Locally harvested maple syrup added late in the boil adds earthy complexities to this lavish Imperial Porter. So I get that earthiness, like I said on that. I'm glad I mentioned that on the end. Like it was towards the end, I was like, yeah, I'm getting a little bit of earthiness. So I think it did a pretty good job considering I didn't read this. And they say a pinch of smoke malt, which doesn't mean a lot, but I'm getting a smokiness. And then the earthy complexity. Yeah, for sure. So again, this is a really good beer. If you haven't had it, seek it out. And again, being an Imperial Porter, I don't think it kind of missed the mark as far as I would have thought with the body. The mouthfeel, on the other hand, it did. So if you've had this beer before, any prior vintages, post in the comment section, let me know. I got one more Jackie O's beer. It's the one, it was a Temple of Minerva. It's not like they have like a double barrel one and whatnot. It's just the regular one, but it's aged for almost 2 years in bourbon barrels. And I cannot wait to try that one out. No adjuncts, nothing. Should be delicious. I hope it is. Anyway, I can't wait for it. So anyway, like I said, 12.6%. Yeah, you can feel it. You know, it's a bigger beer. Would you say 12.6? Probably not, but I wouldn't be far off. If I was doing this blind, I'd probably guess at least like 11.5, 12, because it definitely has a big booziness to it. Just not on the palate. It's not like that ethanol kind of like you're breathing fire like every single time you take a sip. You're like, ooh, that's not it. But it's just like I can feel it in the chest. I can feel it as I'm talking. I'm almost getting like drunk. I'm a lightweight nowadays, and drinking whatever, like 3, 4, 5 ounces of this. I'm like, ooh, I'm feeling it. Yeah. Anyway, I'm shutting it down. To the next one. Cheers.